thermochemistry. Today we are going to discuss about next enthalpy change, that is the enthalpy of atomization. Enthalpy of atomization, it is the amount of heat energy required to break the 1 mole of a given substance into its constituent atoms in gaseous state. It is the enthalpy change. Remember, it is always endothermic because energy required to break 1 mole of a substance completely into its atoms in gaseous state at a constant temperature and pressure. Now, it is also referred as a amount of heat energy required to break the 1 mole of a metal lattice into free gaseous state atoms. Let's suppose hydrogen gas is there, 1 mole, chlorine gas is there. To dissociate it into constituent atoms, the amount of heat energy required is called enthalpy of atomization. In case of sodium is a solid state. When it is converted into gaseous state, this is the enthalpy of atomization. It is also known as a enthalpy of what we say sublimation. Enthalpy of what we say sublimation, because the solid state directly converted into the gaseous state. Now carbon, 1 mole carbon, let us say graphite in solid state converted into gaseous state. Methane 1 mole converted into its constituent atoms, that is the enthalpy of atomization. Enthalpy of atomization, once again, it is the enthalpy change in a reaction when 1 mole of a substance is completely dissociated into its atoms in the gaseous state at a constant temperature and pressure. It is always endothermic. It is always endothermic. Now, after the enthalpy of atomization, now we are going to discuss two important laws in the thermochemistry chapter. Laws of thermochemistry. Laws of thermochemistry. The first important law is the Lavoisier-Laplace law, and second one is the Hess law of constant heat summation. So these are the two important laws in thermochemistry. Whenever we are solving any numerical problem, we have to identify some laws, that is Lavoisier-Laplace law and Hess law of constant heat summation. In previous videos, we discussed Lavoisier-Laplace law. Once again, I am explaining what is the first law that is used in thermochemistry. What is the first law? Lavoisier-Laplace law. According to this law, when a thermochemical equation is reversed, then the sign of delta H will changes, but the magnitude will remains same. Whenever a thermochemical reaction or equation is reversed, then the sign convention, the delta H value, the sign of the delta H value changes. That is, if the first delta H value positive, if the reaction is reversed, then you will get the negative, or vice versa. And one more important thing, the magnitude do not changes. Let's suppose this is there. In this forward reaction, what happens? 1 mole solid sodium converted to 1 mole gaseous sodium. The enthalpy of this reaction 108.4. If you reverse this equation, you will get opposite side. You will get what? Opposite side. Let's suppose A converted into B. The enthalpy of a reaction, let's suppose plus x kilojoule. Let's suppose plus x kilojoule per mole. if I want to change the, if you want to change the inverse, if I want to interchange reactants and products, that means the delta H value get changed. The delta H value get changed, but the magnitude is same. Only the thing is the sign convention. That means if it is endothermic in forward direction, in backward direction what happens? Obviously exothermic, or vice versa. It is not always endothermic. If it is exothermic, then it becomes what? Endothermic reaction. Yes or no? Let's suppose C plus O2, CO2. We know enthalpy of combustion of graphite. The standard enthalpy of combustion of graphite is minus 393.5 kilojoule per mole of a graphite. If I want to reverse the reaction, CO2 becomes C plus O2. Then obviously the sign of the delta H value changes. Only the sign of the delta H value changes. And the magnitude will be remains same. This is the first law we use in the thermochemistry, that is the law is the Laplace law. Come to second law, Hess law. This is a very important, even in the board exam also, competitive exam also, the second law is very important. Now, second law of thermochemistry, that is the Hess law of constant heat summation. A very important law, Hess law. Very important law in thermochemistry is Hess law. Actually, it is known as Hess law of constant heat summation. Now here, we know enthalpy is a state function, yes, which depend upon initial and final state of the system irrespective of the transfer of the path of the system in which it is transferred. Let us say system A is there and it is moving to B position. System at a position A, now it changes to a system position B. Then what happens? The enthalpy change, whatever the enthalpy change will depend upon the initial condition and final condition, irrespective of the path of the transformation. Yes or no? Now, this is the Hess law concept. Now, according to Hess law, when a process, that process may be physical or chemical process. When a process occurs single or more than, when a process occurs in a one step or multiple steps, then the total change in enthalpy of that process will be same or constant. Remember, when a process occurs in a single step or a multiple step, then the total enthalpy change in that process will be remains constant. That means enthalpy is a state function which depends on initial and final state of the system, irrespective of the path of transformation. It is just extension of, it is just extension of First law of thermodynamics. First law of thermodynamics. Now, enthalpy is a state function which depend upon initial state and final state of the system, but not depend upon the path of the transformation of the system. In which part the system is transferred independent. Isn't it? Now here, let's suppose I have A. Let's suppose A is a reactant. Now it is converted into product D. It is a direct step, one step process. The same reaction, what I am doing, I am moving from A to B in the first step, and after that from B to C in the second step, and in the third step I am reaching from C to D. That means when we are moving in direct step, A to D we are obtained, or if we move in multiple steps also we are obtaining A to D. That means the reaction occurs in a single step or in a multiple step. The total change in enthalpy of a process will be remains what? Same or constant. Let's suppose A to D I am obtaining, it is a one step process. Let's suppose enthalpy of the reaction delta H is equal to minus Q. This is a one step process. Single step, direct step. This is also known as direct reaction. Enthalpy minus 393.5 kilojoule per mole, and diamond combustion enthalpy minus 395.4. Now what I am doing, I want diamond on the left side, graphite on the right side. So what you have to do, let's suppose this is equation 1, this is equation 2. Let's suppose I am writing 2 minus 1. 2 minus 1 means diamond will be present on the left hand side, minus graphite go to right side, plus graphite. So O to cancel, CO to CO2 also get cancelled. So delta H, let's suppose this is delta H2, delta H1, delta H2 minus delta H1. So minus 395.4 minus of minus 393.5. So minus 395.4 plus 393.5. So approximately minus 1.9 kilojoule per mole. That means when 1 mole of a diamond get converted into 1 mole of a graphite, the enthalpy change is minus 1. This is exothermic process. Why? That's why graphite is thermodynamically stable form. Most commonly occurring form as well as the stable form of the allotropy, crystalline allotropy of carbon, that is graphite. And one more example, beta sulfur, alpha sulfur. Beta sulfur is called mono cleaning sulfur, alpha sulfur ortho rhombic sulfur. The delta H value minus 2.5 kilojoule per mole. Minus 2.5 kilojoule per mole. So this is the application number 2. What is the application number 2? To calculate the enthalpy change in a very slow process. Very slow process. Now, application number 3, this is very important, to calculate the lattice enthalpy. To calculate the lattice enthalpy of ionic compounds. Now here, suppose sodium combined with chlorine to give sodium chloride. In this what happens? 1 mole sodium, half mole chlorine gas combined to give 1 mole solid sodium chloride. This is the formation of a 1 mole of a solid sodium chloride from its constituent elements. Here the enthalpy, standard enthalpy of formation of NaCl crystalline solid. This is the enthalpy of formation. Minus 411.2 kilojoule per mole. This is experimental data. Now, actually, how to get this sodium chloride? Indirectly. It is directly. Directly, we can prepare the sodium chloride from its constituent elements. Now, indirectly, we can prepare sodium chloride in 5 different steps. Step 1. Sublimation, where solid sodium directly converted into gaseous sodium. Just now I told you this is also known as a sublimation enthalpy. Enthalpy of sublimation or enthalpy of atomization. Enthalpy of sublimation, which is equal to 108.4 kilojoule per mole. Step 1. Step 2, here sodium in the gaseous state get ionized into sodium ion. We know this enthalpy known as a ionization enthalpy. Let's suppose I am writing SUB, sublimation enthalpy. I stands for ionization. Now the value 496 kilojoule per mole of sodium. Ionization. Step 2. What is the step 2? Ionization. Now come to step 3. Now the gaseous chlorine molecule break down into gaseous chlorine atoms. This is known as bond dissociation. Bond dissociation. Here chlorine molecule get converted into gaseous state chloride atoms. This is the bond enthalpy, bond dissociation enthalpy. But in this what happens, half mole chloride is there, so I am multiplying with half on both sides. So I have only one chloride atom in the sodium chloride. So here 2 chloride atoms are there, so I am multiplying half on both sides. Now this is the what we say bond enthalpy. The bond enthalpy, actually this is half mole. This is half mole. So I am writing half into bond dissociation enthalpy is equal to 121 kilojoule for half mole. This is for half mole. Now step 3. After step 3, step 4, where in the step 4 the gaseous chloride atom get converted into chloride ion by accepting the 1 electron from the sodium, which loses 1 electron. This is called electron gain enthalpy. Let's suppose this is the Eg. What is the electron gain enthalpy? It is the enthalpy change when an electron is added to gaseous neutral atom to convert it into negative ion. That enthalpy change is called electron gain enthalpy, which is equal to minus 348.6 kilojoule per mole of chlorine. Now come to the last step, 5th step. This is very important step. Step 5. Na plus Cl minus. Na plus in the step 2, Na plus in the step 4, Cl minus. Or combine to form 1 mole NaCl solid. In this process, the enthalpy change is called lattice enthalpy. Lattice enthalpy, and enthalpy change in this process is called what? Lattice enthalpy or lattice energy. Let's suppose Na positive ion and Cl minus positive ion to get converted into 1 mole of a NaCl. 1 mole of a NaCl. Now this is the delta H lattice energy. This is the question mark. We have to calculate the enthalpy, lattice enthalpy. Now here once again I am writing sodium combined with chlorine to give sodium chloride. It is directly formation of NaCl. So same NaCl, what happens in 5 steps can be prepared. In the first step, sodium solid state converted into gaseous state. The enthalpy of what we say sublimation. In the second step, the gaseous sodium get converted into sodium ion by supplying the energy which is known as the ionization enthalpy. Now Cl2 molecule converted into Cl atom. That is the half into bond dissociation enthalpy. 1/2 into bond dissociation enthalpy. Bond dissociation enthalpy. Now come to gaseous chlorine atom converted into chlorine ion. This is the electron gain enthalpy. And the fifth step, these two oppositely charged ions are combined to form 1 mole of a ionic crystal. Now this is the last step, where this is called energy changes in this process is called lattice energy. Now this is the question mark. Now this is the enthalpy of formation. The enthalpy of formation is given to you what? Minus 411.2 kilojoule per mole. Now in the each step I know the change in enthalpy except in the fifth step. Remaining all the steps we know the enthalpy change. Now what I am doing, this is known as a Born-Haber cycle. What is this? Born-Haber cycle. Now from this Born-Haber cycle, by applying the Hess law, we can calculate the energy changes occurring in the fifth step, which is known as a lattice energy, which is known as a lattice energy. Now here from Hess law, standard enthalpy of formation of NaCl is the algebraic sum of the delta H sublimation plus delta H ionization plus half into bond enthalpy, that is the bond dissociation. Same process, I am going to 3 steps. A to B first step, B to C second step, and C to D third step. Indirect reaction. Here, how many steps involves? 3 steps. Let's suppose A to B, B to C, and C to D. In each step, the enthalpy of change, let's suppose delta H1, delta H2, delta H3. Let's suppose this is Q1, this is Q2, this is Q3. Now, if you add all these steps, so that B gets cancelled, C gets cancelled, you will get A to D. Yes. Now, what is the delta H value? Algebraic sum of delta H1, delta H2, delta H3. What is the delta H value here? Minus Q is equal to delta H1, delta H2, delta H3. This is the Hess law. Now Q is equal to what? Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3. Whether a reaction occurs in a single step or in a multiple step, then the total enthalpy change in a given process will be remains constant Now, let's suppose you have one example, carbon dioxide, formation of carbon dioxide from graphite and oxygen. The standard enthalpy of formation of this reaction minus 393.5 kilojoule per mole. Now, the same carbon dioxide can be prepared in two steps. In the first step, partial oxidation of carbon to give carbon monoxide, and in the second step, carbon monoxide again oxidation to give carbon dioxide. Now, the enthalpy change in the each step, let's suppose this is delta H1, this is delta H2. Here minus 110.5 minus 283 kilojoule per mole. Kilojoule per mole. Now, according to Hess law, according to Hess law, the total enthalpy of a process is the algebraic sum of the individual steps. But the total enthalpy of the total reaction minus 393.5. Now, if you add these two reactions, thermochemical equation, CO gets cancelled. C plus half O2 plus half O2 is equal to O2, C plus O2 gives CO2. So this is minus 110.5, this is minus 283. So minus 393.5 minus 393.5. On both sides, delta H value is constant. That means here the enthalpy of a process independent on the path of the transformation, only depend upon the initial state and final state of the system. Now, what are the applications of Hess law? Applications of Hess law. Now, the first application is to calculate enthalpy of a intermediate compound which is unstable and cannot be isolated. Suppose, see this example, graphite combustion follows two steps, partial combustion CO and complete combustion final CO get oxidized to CO2. Now here carbon oxidizes to carbon dioxide. Same carbon dioxide can also be obtained from the oxidation of carbon monoxide. I know the delta H value of this one, that is minus 393.5. It will be given in the question. No need to bother about it. All the data will be given to you. And this is minus 283. Now the question is, find the enthalpy of formation of carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is an intermediate which is unstable and readily get further oxidized to carbon dioxide. So the intermediate unstable whose enthalpy of reaction, enthalpy formation of that compound can be indirectly calculated by using the Hess law. Now let's suppose this is the equation 1, this is the equation 2. Subtract the equation 1. Subtract the equation 2 from equation 1. So what happens, tell me? Here CO to CO2 gets cancelled. O2 minus half O2, you will get half O2. C graphite minus CO, bring the minus CO to the right hand side. So what you will get? C graphite plus half O2 CO. Now what is the enthalpy change here? Let's suppose this is delta H1, this is delta H2. Delta H is equal to delta H1 minus delta H2. Yes or no? Delta H1 is what? Minus 393.5. Minus half. Delta H2 is what? Minus 283.5. Minus or minus? Plus. Minus 393.5 plus 283.5. That is minus 110. Minus 110. Minus 110 kilojoule per mole. Now I am giving one question. N2 combined with O2 to give NO2. Here X kilojoules of heat energy releases. 2NO plus O2, 2NO2, here Y kilojoules of energy releases. Question is, find the standard enthalpy of formation of nitric oxide. Standard enthalpy of formation of nitric oxide. Now, pause the video and try to solve this problem. Now, remember here plus X kilojoule plus Y kilojoule given. Now what I am doing? 2N2 plus O2 I think this is N2 plus 2O2 so that it is balanced. N2 plus 2O2, 2NO2. Let's suppose it is delta H. Let's suppose minus X. Now here 2NO plus O2, 2NO2. Here the delta H value is minus 1. Now subtract 2 from 1. So what you will get? 1 minus 2. N2 plus O2 gives 2NO. Because NO and NO2 cancel. N2, 2O2 plus minus O2, you will get O2 minus 2NO go to right side. So what is the delta H resultant value? Minus X minus half minus Y. That is Y minus X. But the question is standard enthalpy of formation of nitric oxide. As per definition, standard enthalpy of formation definition, the amount of heat, the enthalpy change during a process when 1 mole of a compound is formed from its constituent elements. Now how many moles of NO is there here? 2 moles. So what I am doing, by dividing 2 on both sides, you will get NO. So the delta H value is Y minus X by 2. This is the standard enthalpy of formation of nitric oxide. This is the application number 1. What is the application number 1? To calculate the enthalpy of formation of an intermediate compound which are unstable and cannot be isolated. Now, application 2. Application 2, to calculate enthalpy change of very slow process. Let's suppose I have diamond. Conversion of a diamond into graphite. Conversion of a diamond into graphite, it is a very slow process. Now, the enthalpy change for this process minus 1.9 kilojoule per mole. This is a very low change in enthalpy, that is 1.9 minus 1.8. The process is very slow process. Practically, it is not possible to exactly calculate the enthalpy change, but how it can be calculated? Now here, let's suppose graphite combustion enthalpy. This is the bond dissociation enthalpy. Next, enthalpy, electron gain enthalpy, and in the last step, that is lattice energy. Now, what is enthalpy formation here? Minus 411.2. Sublimation enthalpy I written here 108.4, and ionization enthalpy 496. 121 bond enthalpy dissociation of half mole chlorine. Electron gain enthalpy, it is a negative value which is equal to minus 348.6. And last step, lattice enthalpy to be calculated. Bring the lattice enthalpy towards this side, minus delta H. Lattice energy is equal to 108.4 plus 496 plus 121 minus 348.6. Bring this negative towards right side, you will get 411.2. Now the value approximately you will get 788 kilojoule per mole, or delta H, that is lattice enthalpy, is equal to minus 788 kilojoule per mole. Now this is the lattice enthalpy of NaCl. NaCl lattice energy. Remember, here lattice energy value you are getting negative sign. That means when oppositely charged ions, are come close to form 1 mole of a lattice, the enthalpy change will be equal to the lattice energy. Greater the magnitude of lattice energy, stable will be the lattice. That means lattice energy stability directly related stability of a lattice directly related with its lattice energy. If the lattice energy is very high, that means more amount of heat energy releases in this last step. That means the lattice which is formed is more stable, because more heat energy releases, more stable the lattice energy, or more stability of the corresponding lattice. Now, solubility. Suppose when this salt dissociates in water, what happens? When a salt dissociates in water, it must be converted into constituent opposite charged ions. That means lattice energy in this reverse direction will be positive. That means if the more positive enthalpy is there, that is more difficult to break the lattice. That means solubility of a lattice inversely proportional to its lattice energy. Now, one more important thing, lattice energy directly proportional to product of the charges and inversely proportional to distance between the charges. Let's say this is a one cation, this is a one anion. Let's suppose the radius of cation to anion, let's suppose Ra, radius of anion, Rc, radius of cation. Rc, radius of cation, Ra, radius of anion. C stands for cation, A stands for anion. The interactive force between oppositely charged ions. If the charge increases, lattice energy increases. If the distance between the charges decreases, again the lattice energy increases. Okay? Now this is the application number 3, that is the calculation of the lattice enthalpy. Suppose if the lattice enthalpy I know, what is the fourth step here we have? In the fourth step what happens? The electron gain enthalpy, chloride electron gain enthalpy. That means if the lattice energy is given to you, we can find the enthalpy, electron gain enthalpy or vice versa. So from Born-Haber cycle, there are indirectly two parameters, that is lattice energy and electron gain enthalpy of a electron gain enthalpy can be calculated. If lattice energy given to you and if the lattice energy already we know, so electron gain enthalpy we can find. Otherwise, if the lattice enthalpy unknown, electron enthalpy is given to you, then we can find the lattice enthalpy. Okay? Now, come to lattice enthalpy problem. The lattice enthalpy of a solid sodium chloride is 180 kilocalorie per mole. The dissolution of solid sodium chloride in water in the form of ions is endothermic to the extent of what? 1 kilocalorie per mole. If the solvation energy nothing but the hydration energy, because solvent is water here, Na plus Cl minus ions are in the ratio of 6:5. Now come to the enthalpy of hydration or solvation of Na plus ions. Now actually, when any salt dissolved in water, it will convert it into aqueous ions. Actually, this process looking to be very simple, but it involves two steps. In the first step, lattice enthalpy, that is the converted into oppositely charged gaseous ions. This is the enthalpy of lattice energy. Now after that, breaking up these constituent ions in the gaseous phase, now they are get hydrolyzed by solvent water. In this step, the enthalpy of dissolution or solution. Let's suppose this is enthalpy of hydration. The whole process is enthalpy of solution. Enthalpy of dissolution or solution. Now what is the enthalpy of solution? According to Hess law, the algebraic sum of the lattice enthalpy and hydration energy. So delta H solution or dissolution is the sum of the lattice energy plus hydration energy. Now the solution dissolution is what? Endothermic. So what is the value given to you? 1. What is the lattice enthalpy given to you in the question? 180. Now tell me, what is the hydration energy? Hydration energy is equal to minus 179 kilocalorie per mole. Now this hydration energy is the combination of Na plus and Cl minus ions. Now the energy ratio 6:5. The solvation of Na plus Cl minus are in how much? In 6:5 ratio. Now I want to distribute this value into 6:5 ratio. So what I am doing? Hydration enthalpy of sodium ions. Total sodium, let's suppose solvation enthalpy, hydration enthalpy, sodium 6 into X, chlorine 5 into X. The ratio will be 6:5. Now only I want sodium ions. So what is the solvation enthalpy of sodium? 6X. Total 11X. This energy will be multiplied with 179. So minus 6 by 11 into 179, approximately minus 97.6 kilocalorie. Now if you want to calculate the only hydration enthalpy of chloride ions, then you take the 5x, that is the enthalpy of hydration of chloride ions, by total enthalpy, that is the 11x, into total value, that is 179. Now come to one more question. It is also based upon Hess law. Now we have barium chloride. We have barium chloride solid. Now we are adding excess amount of water so that it gets converted into aqueous barium ions and chloride ions. But when a required amount of water is added, it will get converted into hydrated salt. After that, excess of water is added so that it will be converted into aqueous ions. Now here the total enthalpy here delta H, here delta H1, here delta H2. Now according to Hess law, delta H is equal to what? Delta H1 plus delta H2. Now what is the enthalpy of solution of barium chloride given to you? Minus 20.6. Delta H1, this is the delta H1 to be find out. What is the delta H2 given to you? That is the enthalpy of solution of BaCl2. It will be given to you how much? Plus 8.8. So delta H1 is equal to minus 20.6 minus 8.8. This is equal to minus 29.4 kilojoule per